Hey guys, hope you're doing great. So in my previous video, I taught you the most simple program in C++ language, which is the Hello World program, or you can say the displaying output program. So I thought that before getting into how to take an input in C++, we should focus on some common escape sequences, which are actually really cool for the beginner or for someone who's new to programming, because it feels like you're performing these sort of tips and tricks with your programming language. So what I have over here is I have a skeleton code with the hashtag include using namespace int main, the main body, and return 0. And I've also gone ahead and I've written these 7 sentences. So if you go ahead and run this program, compile this program, these 7 sentences are going to be displayed on the console, as you can see. So what we're going to do is that we're going to use each of these 7 sentences to use a different escape sequence, because escape sequences can actually only work if they're written within these double quotation marks. So one of the most common escape sequences I've already taught you is the /n escape sequence, which basically means new line, or it typically does the same job as endl, because it goes to the next line, but it's more efficient because then you wouldn't even need to write endl after every line. We would just write /n within the quotation marks, and that would be it. So what's going to happen when this program gets compiled is that while executing the first line, it's going to say programming is, and then grade is going to be displayed on the next line because it says /n or new line over here. And another escape sequence is the horizontal tab escape sequence, which is \T. So if you go ahead and look at the top left corner of your keyboard, you can see a tab button, and that tab button on some people's computers means 4 spaces, and on some it means 8 spaces. So depending on what it means on your computer, when you run this program, there's going to be either 4 spaces between this I and this S, or there's going to be 8 spaces. And another escape sequence is the \B escape sequence, which means backspace. So just like the normal backspace on your keyboard, it performs the same operation. So when this third line is going to be executed, it's going to say programming is, and then it's going to say, oh, I have to delete one character, I have to backspace one character. So it's not gonna display this S, it's gonna delete this or backspace it. So you're gonna say programming not what I thought it would be, instead of is. And another escape sequence, the one that is the most confusing one, is the return escape sequence, or /R. And I'm going to try to explain it as best as I can, but you'll only really understand it when I finally run the program and show you the output. So /R, or return escape sequence, means that when you're executing this line, it's gonna read programming is, and then it's gonna say, oh, I have to return. So what it's gonna do is that it's going to disregard this programming is that it read in the first place, and it's going to read hard, and then it's going to say, now that the cursor is to the end of this line, it's going to say that I have to return. So I don't have to go to the next line. Instead, I have to return to the start of this line. So what it's going to do is it's going to see how many syllables these are. These are 1, 2, 3, 4 syllables. And it's going to take these 4 syllables, HARD, and then it's going to return over here, and it's going to replace PROG with hard. So it's going to say hard ramming is. So they're going to be rewritten. They're going to be overwritten. These PROG are going to be overwritten with these HARD. And another escape sequence is the / escape sequence. So you might have noticed that we use / for our escape sequences. So what if you just wanted to display a /? What if you just wanted to say programming is hell, and then you wanted to write /? Well, what would happen is that when you would go ahead and run that program, you would see that there's going to be an error, because they're going to say that you're missing this character. So what you do is that when you want to display one /, you actually put 2 backslashes instead of 1. And when you run that, it's going to just display programming is hell and 1 backslash, not 2. And don't confuse / with /, because / is basically used for commenting. So for example, you want to write this is true, because you're just commenting to yourself, or you're commenting to someone else who reads the code that you wrote. So whatever you write in comments, or for example, you write over here, yes, this is true, and this yes, whatever is written in comments, is not going to be regarded when you run the program. So it's not going to make any difference whether you write this or not. It's just to make it easier for when you read the program again, that okay, this is what I did, because you're going to say my logic was whatever, and you're going to write your logic in the comments. Okay, so don't confuse the forward slash and the backslash. And another escape sequence is the backslash and single quotation mark. So this is actually going to display one quotation mark. So if you just put a quotation mark over here, it's going to give you an error. So instead of putting just a quotation mark, and you can't even put a quotation mark, I just put one quotation mark and it turned into two. So instead of that, you just write backslash and you put a single quotation mark over there like that. And that's an escape sequence. So it's going to say programming made me cry, and then it's going to not display this backslash. It's just going to display that quotation mark. And my favorite and one of the coolest escape sequences is the alarm escape sequence. And what that does is that whenever a program has the alarm escape sequence in it and it doesn't have any errors and it runs, so the computer will give a sort of an alarm or a bell, and that is the /a. So when I'm going to go ahead and run this, you're going to hear a little beep sound. So let's go ahead and run it and analyze the results together. So you're going to hear a beep right about now. See, so that beep was the alarm running. So you already know what the /a one does. Now let's discuss the other 6. So what happened when this program executed was that the first line got executed, programming is, and then /n meant new line, so it went to the next line and it wrote grade. So there was a space over here, so it took a space here too. If there wouldn't have been a space, so grade would have started then from the start of this line. Then the second line got executed and it said programming I, and then as we have the horizontal tab escape sequence over here, so it's going to give 4 spaces between I and S, and so you have programming I as okay. And for the third line, it's going to say programming is, and then it's going to backspace 1, so you see programming I, not what I thought it would be, just like I said. And so this is the one that we were waiting for because it was a little hard to explain. So what happened is that it disregarded this programming is, and it started the sentence from the /r, so it wrote hard over here, and then it returned to the start and it overwrote PROG and it wrote hard ramming is, as you can see. Okay, and the next escape sequence, the single backslash one for displaying single backslash, you use 2 backslashes, and as you can see it says programming is hell and a single backslash. And then programming made me cry, and we had a backslash and a single quotation mark, but instead of that backslash, only the quotation mark was displayed. And the /a, you just saw that when we did that escape sequence, an alarm sounded. So I hope that was a fun experience for you and you learned something. And if you have any questions or any comments, any suggestions, do tell me. And thank you for watching. See you in the next video.